Hi, welcome to Cherie's weight loss journey. Out and about, taking a walk. Uh, haven't been walking in a few days, but I still do my lightweight exercises. So anyway, one of the reasons why is because uh, Mercury and Venus came out and said, look, there's still lack of understanding, right? We're talking to people that have no cognitive abilities. You're going to have to spell it out to them. I'm like, what? Okay, I'll go out and take a walk and try to explain it. And so we want to explain what happens when we mix our blood with animals. What happens when we mix? I feel so much better now that my antennas are flat. I had to put some gel on it. What happens when we mix our blood with animals? We become more instinctual. And when we become more instinctual, it erodes our ability to be empathetic. Right? Okay. So, when we have people who say, to follow your feelings, right? Your feelings can be instinctual or they can be empathetic. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to put yourself in, let's say, the proverbial shoes of another person. Okay? And we have a whole society. Well, let's not say it. Well, yeah, they are a society. We have a whole society of fake woke people who are stating that they're empaths. Right? And yet, they're not truly putting their feet and walking in the proverbial shoes of this other person. Such as, say, somebody that says, well, so and so did this, right? And then they pass judgment right away. Okay? Like, I hear a lot of kids, who will, make accusations, on their parents. And then turn around and say, I would never do that to my kid, right? And a lot of them do. At some point in time, they usually, end up doing similar or maybe even the exact same thing as their parents. Okay? So a lot of that comes from certain bloodlines that have commingled their blood with animals, right? I mean, it is what it is. Okay? If you can't put yourself in the shoes of another person, then automatically you're not being empathetic, right? If you're riding down the street and you decide to have a random road rage, well, in that moment, you was not putting yourself in that other person's shoes. Okay? I mean, we have people who refuse to say that they will do such a thing, right? Well, I would never do that. I would never do that, right? And then, it's too late when they finally find that day that, maybe they was driving under the speed limit, right? Or maybe they were in a situation where they felt compelled to steal. And I don't know, maybe because it's Christmas and they couldn't afford a gift for their beloved. And people will say, well, I would never do that. I would never do that. Okay, so maybe you're not stealing from the store, but maybe you done found another clever way in which to earn the money that wasn't quite legal, but it allowed you to earn money, right? Maybe you didn't steal from the store. Maybe you stole from a neighbor. Maybe you stole from your grandmother. Maybe you decided, you would promise to do a job and, with no intent on ever getting around to doing that job. Okay? There's different ways to steal. Okay? But the bottom line is that you manifested a plan to get what you wanted. Okay? Now, we could all look back, especially when it comes time to raising our kids. One of the first things that I realized when I was raising my kids was, preparing them for what I thought was reality. Okay? I'm preparing them for what I thought was reality. But by the time they had grown up, there were certain things that I couldn't anticipate would happen and change the reality of our environment more than I ever knew. Right? And so I heard it from my mother. Well, I didn't know that the world was going to change this way. I didn't know that and I said the same thing to my kids. I didn't know that the world was going to change this way. I didn't know this wasn't going to be that. Because it was this before, but now it's that. Okay? But, you know, it takes a long time for somebody to be empathetic, right? When I was growing up and I was listening to a lot of older people, try to give me guidance, right? And, the main reason why I had did that was because I wanted to learn through empathy. I wanted to learn through their experience, right? And a lot of times I will say, I'm vicariously learning through your experiences. Okay? Because I would rather do that than to learn the hard way. Right? What's the hard way? Well, we used to have a saying about that. A hard head makes a soft ass. Okay? So, now, there is a form of empathy where you can identify, other people's feelings, but personally, I would not really call that empathy, right? Because it's more like instinct, right? It's more like painful historical data of something that you went through. Because you hear that a lot. Oh, well, the only way that you can be, empathetic is if you have to go through some things. And then it was like, no, you can go through a whole bunch of things and never become empathetic. Okay? Now, you may always remember what you went through and how it felt, but you may never, learn, or even be able to give guidance to other people on how not to go through what you went through, and it was painful for you. Okay? But, I hear a lot of men who will say, well, you only really learn, if you go through a thing. And it's like, well, that's not true, right? You can learn through empathy by understanding and feeling what another person is communicating to you, by putting yourself, in those shoes. And granted, when we're a kid and we're all telling our story, just like, say, for instance, y'all went Halloween trick-or-treating, and you have people who will all, reflect about the scariest house that they had encountered during Halloween, right? And maybe we had a friend or a sibling that had such a horrible experience that they were crying, right? And other people were like, yeah, that shit was scary, And then you had other ones that were like, nah, that wasn't scary at all. I knew it was fake all along, And these are indicators of the different emotional levels that we all harbor within ourselves, and they're not all the same. So yeah, even the reaction towards somebody crying because they were scared at the haunted house, or even went to the amusement park, right, and got on the roller coaster. And instead of the roller coaster being exhilarating, thrilling, and fun, they got off of it feeling as if that was the worst, horrible experience that they've ever felt in their life. And it might not even be because, they were scared. It could be because, they were rattled. Every roller coaster that I ever gone on, they shake your body all around. And sometimes the shake is so fast that it feels like my skin is going in one direction and my bones are going in another. Okay? So anyway, getting back to the topic, so we talked a little bit about empathy, and we talked a little bit about instinct, right? And then how you'll have, men warriors of the past that would drink the blood of certain kills, certain animals, and in wanting, the gifts, the sentient gifts, that was given to these particular animals, to be created in their blood and passed down through their bloodline. Okay? Now, women, we haven't really gotten into that practice, although we could. Now, we could get into those practices. Whether or not we want to is a whole different thing. So let's keep it real. The majority of the time the women would be like, why would I descend back into an animal behavior when truly I want to ascend into a more elevated form of human being. Okay? So that was one of the things that Mercury and Venus wanted me to come and talk about. Right? Clarifying kind of like what I've been talking about when it came to blood and bloodlines, which also include generational curses. Okay? Even psychologists, they never understand how is it, that twins are able to feel each other. How is it that a parent can feel that their child has died in war? how is it that a child that was adopted by a complete strange family at birth, still has the internal programming of their biological parents. This is, the argument of nature versus nurture that we've been having for centuries. Okay? So, I had cooked some pork loin and had a kale salad this time. And the packaging had let me know that the portion sizes that they have created was 250 calories. So then I added like 3/4 cups of the pork loin that I had cooked. And I only cooked it with onions and bell peppers. So there wasn't any huge, calorie added. So I predict that my lunch was probably about 500. Let's just say 500 calories, give or take some calories. Like I said, I'm losing. I'm pleased with my progress. And don't do it. Don't do it. Get your ass back here. Okay? So that's my video. I hope it was informative. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.